We're back. This is Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We're broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios, and we're sponsored by Extreme Exteriors. Right now it's time for the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association Minute. The MHA Minute is brought to you by Pest Control Services. When you need an exterminator, you want someone reliable, punctual, and effective like Greg Keener at Pest Control Services. His number is 952-894-9748. Give him a call. Pest Control Services is a proud member of Angie's List and the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. That's Pest Control Services, 952-894-9748. Tell Greg that Gene and Tony sent you.
If you're renting out a property for the first time, there's a lot you need to know so that you can do it successfully and, frankly, keep yourself out of trouble. Luckily, there's a statewide resource with all the tools you need to run your new business successfully. In fact, the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association regularly holds a seminar called Accidental Landlord, specifically designed for people who are renting out a property for the first time. They also have residential leases, security deposit agreements, a lead disclosure, and lots of other forms. They even have brochures on the principles of successful property management and the eviction process that you can download for free. So if you want to know more about the Accidental Landlord Seminar or other classes about owning, managing, or maintaining anything from a single unit to a growing apartment portfolio, visit the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association's website, mmha.com. That's two M's, mmha.com.
Our guest today is Todd Rooker, Armor Financial Services. We're talking about putting one's life back together after financial ruin. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions. Call us at 651-289-4488 if you have a comment. Before the break, we were talking about that old-fashioned notion of paying cash for the things you buy, right, Gene?
That's a strange concept,
It's a very strange concept. You told a story of a neighbor at your first or second house who said, you know, you don't own anything, you young whippersnapper. My wife and I saved up the money to buy our house, and now we own our house.
Yeah, and then you said you had a uncle.
Cousin Harold was very
Harold.
like your neighbor. Cousin Harold down in Sedalia, Missouri. My dad and his cousins, 3 or 4 of them, all became veterinarians within about the same decade. And Harold and another cousin went into practice together in Sedalia. And Harold was kind of ridiculed in the family because he would not buy one single thing unless he could buy it with cash, including his house. So he and his wife, it took them 20 years to buy their first house because they saved up the money to pay cash. And I remember my folks saying, you know, they could have had a house 20 years ago if they'd just been willing to take out a mortgage. Well, Harold probably lived a lot more serenely than many of the other people in our family, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Todd, you just think of that notion that people are almost given a hard, they're given a hard time if they go with the notion that I'm only going to buy with cash because everybody's got ingrained to them that getting everything on credit is the way to go.
All right, now I'm going to say something that's undoubtedly going to be controversial.
Okay.
Here,
good.
Especially as it relates to banks. But, you know, remember this. The more separation that you have from your money, which is to say check cards, credit cards, checkbooks with overdraft protection, meaning that you don't physically feel the tactile feel of the cash, the more likely you are to overspend. And banks and lending institutions have known this for years and years. So when people are clearly separated and they are not associated closely with the actual money being pulled out of their wallets, they have a much greater tendency to overspend. And that's a part of the problem that we have. Yet if you talk to people about actually using cash in their day-to-day lives, they reject that notion and believe that they're of a higher evolution because they will say we're a cashless society.
Sure.
You know?
They at
How
least think
wonderful that is.
Yes.
They at least think they're more technologically advanced.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, a cashless society does not have the connection to their money. People who have cash have a clear connection to their money, and they're reluctant to spend it, and they're more likely to question every financial decision. But when you've got check cards and credit cards, it's very easy to sign the little authorization and see you later.
Yeah,
sure.
People just don't think what do I have, and everyone's just ready to spend what is not there. And even now, especially you're dealing with credit, the interest rates especially now. I mean, they've always been huge, but now they've
Right.
been astronomical over this the last couple of years. haven't
Well,
they?
the maximum usury in Minnesota on unsecured debt is 33%, so they can raise your rates on a credit card to 32.9%. And they can do
And
that.
they do.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. And by the way, remember, if it's a business line of credit, then there is no maximum usury, and they can go above that number.
So for business,
Really?
then all bets are off, right?
That's right. That's right.
Oh man, that's amazing. I'm looking at our producer here saying that we're coming up to a hard break here at the top of the hour. Todd, when we come back, I would like you to address the situation of credit as it pertains to the thinking of young folks in college today, because there are some things that they're doing that are putting them in a position they may never be able to get out of. And that's here on Where You Live with Gene and Tony, our guest Todd Rooker. We're going to take a break. We'll be back after these messages.